Hello everyone, welcome back. So, this video we got a new game sent in, and this one is from, we'll just say AZ for short. Okay, and so his rating is about 1,000, and we got a nice game sent in, so let's go and hurry up and take a look at it. Let's get to this. Okay, E4. So, best by test, as Bobby Fischer says. I also play E4. Okay. D5, Scandinavian defense. E takes, queen takes, knight c3. So this is the downside of the Scandinavian. So the knight attacks the queen and develops with tempo, and so black will lose some time. And that's kind of the one downside to this, but an upside is that black winds up knocking out some of the white center, so there's not as much chance for white to build a real huge center because it gets knocked out immediately. Okay, queen to e5 check, and really what black should do is just go to a5, maybe d6 or d8, and just try to put the queen away from the action, because you don't want to be moving your queen during the beginning of the game. Queen to e5 check, bishop e2, very good, just develop. And here black plays h6 in the game. One quick thing I want to show real quick is sometimes players against me have played queen to g5 and gone after the g pawn. And so something like this happens. And in this type of position, I've gotten this a few times, and it winds up being very okay that you've given up this pawn because you got all your pieces out, while the black queen has just bounced around. So, a lot of development. Okay, in the game, h6. And yeah, that was just a variation I just wanted to show. That can happen, so just don't be too worried about this pawn, in case that ever happens to you. Okay, h6, knight f3, another tempo gained on the queen. Queen to h5. I don't exactly like that because this bishop, that doesn't look so nice. You got this X-ray kind of going on. Okay, knight to d4, and yeah, so it's a discover attack we see because the knight moves. So one thing is you could just continue developing with castling as well. That's one possibility here, because yeah, if your opponent's been moving a lot of pieces around, you know, over and over again, like the queen, how many times she's moved, if you can just keep developing your pieces, then you'll get a fairly good position most of the times. Okay, knight d4, attacking the queen, so the queen moves again. A lot of queen moves. Okay, and d3 is played, so that lets out the bishop while hitting the queen. Not worrying about the g2 pawn, and you don't really have to worry about that pawn because so much development, pawns aren't as important to worry about. And one thing though is I think that you could just castle here, because if castled, yeah, this pawn won't matter as much as the development, so white would still have a better position. But I always say if you can avoid losing material and keep a better position, then why sacrifice? And in this position, you have the same lead development, but you're not letting the pawn go. And there also is no dangers of, like, you know, these types of threats, because you always have bishop to f3. Okay. So now back to the actual game. After d3, black goes ahead and takes, and so giving up the pawn, but white is still going to be very much better because all that black's done is move this queen over and over again. Bishop to f3, so hits the queen, protects the rook, puts the bishop on the long diagonal. Queen g6, bishop e4, queen f6, and bishop to e3. Okay, and one thing here that could have been pretty good that would have made things very difficult for black is knight to b5 here, because knight b5, it's not really clear how he can defend, and there's not really a defense here. Because even if knight to a6, then you can just play knight to d5, and then you're hitting the queen, and you're threatening c7. So there's not really a whole lot that black can do here. Okay, so that would have been one potential variation that could have been pretty good, but in any case, white is, I still say, doing pretty good in this position because of the great development that he has. Okay, and maybe black does have the extra pawn, but against this many developed pieces in a live game, it can be pretty difficult to deal with for black because of having no pieces out. Okay, e5, knight d to b5, bishop d6, and here knight to d5 is played. So now we are targeting c7, but it doesn't have quite the same effect because queen to d8 can be played. One thing that I would think is take, and then you have the bishop pair plus more development. And yes, that's one thing you could do. But you're still doing better here after knight to d5. And you're doing much better after black makes the mistake. Queen to h4. So this is just losing material. Because knight takes, bishop takes, and knight takes, and now the king and rook are forked. So king e7, bishop c5, king d7, and then knight taking the rook. So now white's just up material. Okay, b6. And one thing also is you don't really have to worry about this knight in the corner. A lot of times when you take the rook with the knight, sometimes you have to worry about how the knight's going to escape. You know, yes, you win the exchange, but obviously it's better if you can keep the knight alive as well. And in this case, you're going to just be up the rook because it's not really possible for black to ever really get to this knight because you have the long diagonal, so you can defend it. And then also, if you need to, queen f3, so you can just hold on to it. Okay, so after b6, we have bishop to f5 check. Okay, king d8, bishop takes c8, king takes c8. Okay, and so now a piece is exchanged. So when you are up material, usually exchanges will clarify the position in your favor, because less material on the board, the more it further shows the difference between the less material and more material. Because if you get to an endgame where you're just up the rook against pawns, well, that's pretty much wins itself. Okay, bishop e3, knight f6. Alright, and here we have rook to g1. Yeah, queen taking on h2 isn't so much to worry about, because you don't have to really worry about this rook. I mean, you can always, maybe you can take, or you can even go king d2, and that way the queen just protects the rook, and then you got open file on the king side here. Okay, g5, queen f3. And now you really don't have to worry about this pawn, because say black makes a mistake and takes rook h1, and then I'd like for you to try to find a move that saves the queen. Okay, knight d7, queen to c6 check, king d8, queen c7 check, king e8. Okay, and yeah, king to e7 is better, as if king to e8, then queen c8 and king gets swept. Yeah, when I was first learning to play chess and when I was new, this type of thing used to happen to me all the time. But then I finally learned, and now I don't do this so much anymore. Yeah, king e7, queen takes h8, queen takes h2. And rook to f1. So what I would think about doing is just castle, and then the rook is defended by the other rook. So that's one thing I would think about doing. Okay, but rook to f1. Okay, e4. And right here, again, I would think to castle, because that way, if he takes, then I take back with the rook, and my rook gets active. And also, my king is farther away from the queen, so that means, since I'm up material, I would think, well, all I need to do is avoid any type of checkmate involving these two knights and this queen, and then I'll be fine. And so putting my king far away from this queen as possible would, I think, to be advisable. But with the extra material, it's still kind of difficult for black to really do anything against all this extra material. But still, it does need to still be activated. If you just have the pieces sitting on the rows, they're not gonna do you as much good as active pieces. Okay, knight e2 c7, f6, knight d5, king d6, and rook d1. And to get the rook to d1, again, here I would say castling. That way I'm still putting this king as far away from this queen as possible. And I'm setting up for discoveries. So I would be doing two things at once, kill two birds with one stone. But, now this is my opinion. Without, discussing this with the player, and just me giving one thing that I think is going on here, I think that at this point, that because he hasn't castled, he is just trying to go the full game without castling and be able to say that he won the whole game without castling. Now that is my opinion. Now, I mean, I can't really blame him for that though. Winning a full game without castling, and then so that's what I think. I think it was just kind of for fun at that point. Which, I mean, I kind of agree. I mean, I can't disagree with wanting to have some fun if you're having a pretty clear advantage. Okay, knight takes f2, bishop takes, and queen to e5 check, knight e3, discover check, and king to e7. Okay, so here the game is ending very soon for black, but there is one funny little thing I just want to show quick here. So white could lose this game by playing one horrible move here, and I just want to show this because I like the way this checkmate looks, this type of checkmate. So say he just plays a horrible move, anything, take this bishop away from defending the knight, and you could play queen d takes on e3 checkmate, and I just like the way this checkmate looks, so just want to put that on the board just to show that. And that would be an absolutely horrible end for white, who is winning. Alright, so in the game, white played much better. He didn't blunder a checkmate at 1. He played queen to h7 check, and then after king to e6, queen takes on d7, and that is checkmate. Okay, yeah, so from this game, what we definitely see is the clear importance of using all of your pieces, not just the queen. So, because the queen was moving so much early on, that gave white a clear development advantage, and then that led to him being able to take advantage of it and being able to win some material. So, definitely don't move the queen too many times early on, and you don't have to. And that's kind of the main lesson that you can learn from this game. Yeah, alright. So I think that that should do it for this game. Until next time, keep sending me your games, everyone. Send them. I mean it. Okay. Thanks for watching.